She's been, yeah. So Ms. Geetika Kapoor is our expert for today's conversation, and I love the topic. In fact, I was struggling to understand it for a while. Then I asked their team to work it out and make it a little more simpler for us to understand, at least me to understand, I would say. And then we arrived at something which I personally feel is very relevant. And I am personally looking forward to that as a conversation, which is shaping meaningful conversation as a school leader. As I said, in these times, it becomes all the more imperative to have these right dialogues with your team, your family member, you name it. And I personally believe all these conversations go a long way, provided we have few challenges that we cannot meet personally with people in the physical proximity. So you are a little distant, the choice of your words and all that. That's my interpretation of it. And I'm sure Ms. Geetika will elaborate on that. I usually am not the person who got into a lot of elaborate introduction, but she's our guest. She is a very distinguished professional, and we love to, we in fact having her for the second time on IPN. So welcome back, Geetika ji. She's the school psychologist and a founder of Ed Essential. That is the introduction which was given to me by the team. However, it is sharp 5 o'clock. Over to you, Geetika ji. Oh, and then, as I mentioned, everybody, the way we were going to do this is that we will let Geetika ji make her initial observation on the topic which we have, after which we will dive into an open house sort of a format, wherein we'll try to take up as many as of your question. And at sharp 6 o'clock, we will close the session for today. Over to you, Ms. Geetika.
Thank you. Thank you once again. And as I start this conversation with all of you, I want you all to start thinking about the kind of dialogues that you have, the conversations that you witness around. Also, I know that the kind of year that we've had, the last 2 years, in fact, it's almost 2 years now that the pandemic started, 2020 to now we have stepped into 2021. It's kind of overshadowed all our lives, and it seems as if this has been the only life we've had. But I want all of us to remember that we had quite a bit of learning curves even before 2020. And what we are today, it's actually the sum of everything that has come till this point. And somewhere I think the stress, the tragedies of the pandemic, the pressure that and the overwhelming demands that the last year and a half has put on us, sometimes we keep losing that focus on what was life before that, what all I had become before that, what was my learning before that, and what is the kind of person I have been, including this time and before that. And this for me has been a journey working with so many educators. I mean, I'm a school psychologist. That's all I do. I converse, I consult with educators all the time. And that has been kind of, the dialogue that has been going on, that it seems as if life didn't exist before 2020. And that's not true. So as we jump into this topic and we say, shaping conversations. In fact, as educators, we all are well versed with the topic of shaping. We've been shaping lives throughout our careers, no matter what the age group that we work with. We look at those tiny souls that come to us at 3.5, 4, young educators of just out of their training courses. And by the time they leave the institutions where they're retiring or they're graduating out, they are these beautiful people that we've shaped. And that's where I want us to keep the focus on gradual maneuvering, gradual growth. It's nothing that's drastic, that's happening overnight. We've been going piece by piece, slowly into the direction which is satisfying, which is mutual. And that's where I define leaders. Leaders would come in all positions, with all sorts of group sizes, with all sorts of age groups, and leaders are defined by their reaching out and binding of groups towards some goals. In fact, that's where I initially thought of the topic, that we all are moving towards mutual outcomes. There is nothing individual when we talk of groups and leaders and the relationship that leaders have with its members. It's always a shared reality that we all are trying to live together. And that's also a possibility that sometimes there are disconnects. There are disconnects between the leader and the members, or the members among themselves. And we see this kind of need to define or redefine the goals we are moving towards. Sometimes we would hear conversations happening where we hear a lot of emotional restlessness, frustration, definition, or words like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know where we are headed. I do not know what we are doing every day that we are doing. In fact, if I have to listen to my learners, young learners, who would say, I don't know why they teach us all these things. I do not know why there is so much homework. And for me, all these dialogues, which are somewhat just passing by, they're happening in the background. And if I had to just tune in to any of these conversations, I mean, obviously now these conversations are distant. We have to structure Zoom sessions like these to even get in touch with conversations, or pick up a phone now and especially have some conversations. But I know that school teams have been doing a lot of effort to have this dialogue going on. In right now, where the COVID pandemic is going on, that I think has been a foremost struggle for school teams, is to know what the other is thinking, to know what the other is going on. In fact, relating with our young learners who are not very vocal all the time. In fact, we write the decorum right now. To have a good group going, we have muted ourselves. So we can't just blurt out answers. We've almost become very methodical about who's getting the chance, what is the duration that one will talk. And somehow the open-ended dialogues have been shunned. We are not getting into um, just loose conversations which were meaningless, which were not outcome oriented, which did not have really agendas that we were following. We were just talking. And as humans, let's remember this. I am a psychologist. I study human learning and behavior all the time. And what we've established is, as humans, language is our biggest asset and our biggest burden as well. We talk, talk, and talk. And sometimes we are the only species that can talk aimlessly. We get a thought and we have to blurt it out. We have an idea, I need an audience to talk to. And sometimes, if all of us have witnessed, if I don't have an audience, I'll talk to myself alone. Have you seen that? Have you experienced that? Yes, we all do that. And that's the power of language in us, that we are talkers. We love talking with an audience or amongst ourselves, doesn't matter at all. So now, why conversations and leadership, and why school leadership particularly? Because this is where a lot stays unsaid a lot of times. With the agendas, with the outcomes that are driving the groups, sometimes the individual voices or the sub voices within the group gets kind of overshadowed or cornered, because some of us love talking only to ourselves or in small groups. We do not always talk when we are in large groups. And that's also when sometimes leaders have to pull in dialogues, pull in people and say, I've not really heard what you wanted to say. I really do not know how you are feeling. And that's a lot of times, some people would shy away even in that proximity and say, nah, nothing. In fact, we Indians are known to be that modest, that if somebody is to ask me specifically, making me important, add a point and say, what do you think? we try to minimize, we tend to minimize my thought and say, not really, that's not that important, maybe later, or let's focus on what everybody else is saying. That is part of who we are as well. But as school groups, school teams, there is so much that is bubbling within individuals, within small groups. And sometimes it needs to be intentfully pulled out. It needs to be invited. It needs to be, kind of triggered and said, tell me what is going on. And if we are not triggering those conversations, generally, there is a risk of our groups getting disconnected, or the leaders getting disconnected from what is the group's experience. Human nature, human learning again is, if it's getting too disconnected, if it's getting too chaotic, I'll select whatever goal that's making sense to me. Humans like to live in not in chaotic environments, even in head. Moment it's too confusing, too many people are not turning up for the calls. Too many people are not speaking. My convenience sometimes would be, I speak to people who are talking to me. Let me hear people who are speaking freely to me. Who has the time to even go knocking on different doors? Though instinctually, again, remember animal instincts and developed human mind, frontal lobe thinking that we all have. Instinctually, we will find easy ways out. Whatever is naturally appealing, we do it. But in the long term, generally, it's not productive. It's not getting us meaningful goals that we wanted to. And it's very easy to be so instinct driven. I go with the flow. In fact, that's another lingo I hear a lot. I went with the flow. I just said, whatever the group was doing, let's go in that direction. Sometimes that also leads, in social psychology, we have a phenomena called social think, which means that group will end up making a wrong decision because there were no naysayers. There were no voices that were saying, let's think of something else as well. And that's where I, as a psychologist, am always tuned into non-speakers who are not talking to me and saying, what are you thinking? Or a group that is kind of showing me something with their non-verbal, and I would have to get in touch with them and say, I am very interested in what you were going through. And to me, that's when, as a leader, no matter what is the group size that one is leading, no matter what the age of the group that we are leading, and that also is very relevant for me, for my learners in my classrooms. A lot of times when I see my young learners not talking, I'm curious about what's happening. And moment I knock that door, boy, I open a Pandora's box sometimes and I do not know how to close it. But that is important for me to get some feedback in saying, I want to stay connected to everybody and not get disconnected. Before I open a dialogue with all of you, I want to emphasize a danger of our free thinking or free talking sometimes, where it is not purposeful. As humans, as I said, we are notorious with our language. And I use the word notorious because we sometimes lose focus of what this language is achieving. I call it thinking aloud. I get a thought, I start talking. Any audience will do. In fact, if you ask me, one of the drastic changes that happened with online platforms, I no longer could just think aloud. I no longer could just call a meeting and think aloud. I had to have an agenda. I had to have an outcome in mind. I had to define. In fact, that was a drastic shift that we all had, that teachers were, that suddenly I had to be over prepared. I had to be overthinking before I start opening my mouth because I had limited time frame, I had limited audience, and I had to deliver. That's when I becoming alert to in conversations. Are we having thinking alouds? Because as humans, what we do is I pretend or I think I am being purposeful, but nothing is coming out of that talking. The person who was listening to me sat through that conversation very patiently, but at the end said, what were we doing here today? What did she want to say at the end of the conversation? And we almost feel tired talking to some people in the group in saying, I do not know what her agenda is. I do not know what that person is wanting to convey. And one of the diagnoses of that conversation, I'm sorry, pardon that language of a psychologist, I jump into diagnosis a lot of times. The diagnosis of that conversation sometimes for me is that person was thinking aloud. That person was not meaning to solve a problem. The person was not seeking me for anything. They were simply thinking aloud. And we all do that all the time. It's just that if there is a pattern of thinking aloud for individuals or within groups, I have witnessed a lot of meetings, which to me seemed like thinking aloud for leaders and for some group members, but nothing came out of that meeting. So the opposite diagnosis of thinking aloud is purposeful action. Did some action happen after that dialogue was over? Did somebody evaluate the outcome of that action? And did we revisit that conversation and saying, let's think more about it? If we are having some purposeful actions after our dialogues, I am saying that's not thinking aloud. That is purposeful conversation. And that's where a lot of times I get questions asked about, is brainstorming thinking aloud? I would say no. Brainstorming is part of problem solving. It's a step in problem solving. There is a purpose in brainstorming. Somebody is always looking for useful, useless, purposeful, purposeless. What is it we are going for? What is that we are going to leave out? Thinking aloud, we are just thinking aloud. It's purposeless. It's directionless. And thinking aloud can go on and on and on. And in shaping conversations as leaders, no matter again, I would say which age group you are belonging to, that you're leading for. The idea is let's shape conversations in that direction where there's purpose, where something is coming out of that conversation. And if it's only thinking aloud, I need to have a repertoire as a leader to not reject thinking aloud, because that also validates a lot of human thought. That makes me connect to other and say what I'm thinking is important. I mean something to you, so you're listening to me. So it has a purpose. But if as educators, I am not alert, I'm not channelizing, I may get drowned and tired. At the end of the day, I may spend so much time with a lot of thinkers who were thinking aloud with me. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I achieving? And that sets a sense of disillusionment sometimes in us. And we want to kind of shape it. We want to say, oh, only this much of thinking aloud that I can handle. Then I need to get back to my purpose. On that note, I would stop. I would welcome thoughts that I'm provoking in you. I would also welcome questions that you might be getting in your heads.
Yes, let's kickstart this. In fact, there are a few rumbling thought in my own head, but then I'll leave it to my audience to begin with the conversation, which is Himanshu ji, you have a question to begin with, then Miss Siba Prasad, and then Shankar. Yeah, you'll have to unmute Himanshu. Ms. Himanshu.
Yeah, one thing in this I would like to ask, that sometimes when we are with the children the same way, they are not ready to listen, or they are not giving the answer. Sometimes they are not opening.
Is she audible? We
Even
lost her.
then they are
I
not
think
ready to be a part of it actively. So in that case, how psychologically we have to deal with the children in that and provoke the children to be on the screen that time?
amazing. That's a very, very useful question. Means a lot. Um, so one, as I would say that we have variations in the comfort that people have about voicing what their thoughts are. A lot of our learners are hesitant, unsure. In fact, a lot of times I work with a lot of learners who are falling behind, and the way I am setting up their lessons, the way I am setting up their response sets that I'm targeting, there is a big possibility that the response that I am seeking, the learner is not yet ready for that response. The whatever lessons, the stimulus that I am bringing to my classroom, maybe my learner is not ready for that dialogue right now. Also, I see a huge possibility with young learners, especially, is their language development, their flair with the language in which I am conversing. So I see a lot of hesitation in especially the second or third language learners, that they do not feel very sure of what they want to say in second or third language. But if I were to dialogue with them in their first language, I see much more repertoire just thrown at me, and they actually become like verbose with whatever they wanted to say. So one evaluation I would want to have is the skill set of the learner. What is that entry level skill that my learner is bringing to my lesson, and what I need to do to moderate or balance out. Also, a lot of times I've met learners who know it, but somehow in their school history, they've gone silent for so long. Like, they kind of just got away by not speaking. Teacher would move on, teacher would say something else, teacher would go to another topic or another learner. That by the time I am meeting them, they're almost in the habit of staying quiet. They would not talk because they've learned not to talk, and life just goes on without them talking. Uh, and again, this would be very individual from a teacher's point of view to assess what is it that I'm dealing with. I like to have dialogues in one-on-one situations, in small groups. So I kind of also tend to, if I have paucity of time, I may recommend calling in small group that is friends of that person who's not been talking. Also, a lot of times there is disconnect with learners. The topics that I am teaching, they find it boring or meaningless. And then I have to discover with them what is it that they are interested in. This is work, this is effort. But then once I start connecting to what they are interested in, it gives me window into how do I relate this that I want to talk about with what interests them. Because if there is no mutuality, what happens is my learners are thinking, ma'am is on her own trip. Ma'am has her own agenda. She has to complete her syllabus. She has to get on with work. I or we do not really matter. And for some learners, believe me, they're very emotional. That matters a lot. And that becomes my entry point with those learners, with those groups of learners. First, I need to have a mutual chord. If they think I see them, they are real people, I value them, that I am able to get them into my lessons. If they think ma'am doesn't really value me, I don't really care. I hope I answered that.
Shiba Prasad. You'll have to unmute.
Good morning. Good evening, sir and ma'am. Basically, I was listening to ma'am's good delivery of the content, ma'am. My question is like, as we are on everything due to this pandemic, it is on online. So like, school is expecting the facilitators to keep on motivating. So anyhow, I do accept it. Like facilitators, we should be motivating the child so that no child should open up and get connected to the facilitator. Maybe in any way, like within that 45 minutes of delivering time. So will it be possible for the facilitator, if the facilitator starts connecting with the students, can the facilitator complete the syllabus, and if he is or she is not completing the syllabus, then it is a trouble for him in all the respects, starting from the job security first and then the rest of the things, because parents starts complaining. So what a facilitator will be doing in this pandemic, when first we have to hold on the job first, and then we will be looking after the duty. Means I am talking
Yes.
from the facilitator side of the thing, like what pressure we will be having, because whatever payments we are getting, it is not sufficient for as of now, because everywhere wherever I am seeing it, it is like online classrooms. Okay, fine, it is for the facilitator also. From the parent side also, they are saying no, it is happening online, so there is no physical classroom, so we'll also pay accordingly. So either the side, it should not affect the other either parties. That is my question. So how
One,
the
I
facilitator
would
will take
be in your
on the
shoes, sir. I am in your shoes because I am talking from the facilitator's point of view, from the teacher's point of view, because I am transacting with groups from that position only. And this is where I, kind of think that truly speaking, life has not changed so much. That was before 2020 and what is after 2020. Because, I have been in my profession for 20 years now. And I had these questions even before the pandemic, as one teacher to 40 students in my classroom. I have to finish the syllabus. When do I have the time? My timetable is full. I even do not have breathing time or planning time for my lessons enough. When do I connect with individual learners? So this question to me is frankly not new. And that's where I bring in my learning from all these years of 20 years that I've been in working with educators and being the educator myself. One, I think I would want and I would encourage everyone very strongly to think, what were we doing before the pandemic when we were not online? What were our mechanisms? How were we connecting to our learners, especially those individual learners before pandemic? Because to me, this is also about the skill set of the teacher. Having those conversations, bringing out that connect from the learner who is not really showing interest in me or in what I am teaching, and I have to pull in their interest. So that is where I would say that before we start thinking about seeking answers from outside, I would also recommend go within. Reflect, what have you been doing all these years to open up dialogues with individual learners, with small groups? Because that is, believe me, a definite repertoire of a teacher. Talking to difficult students, I call them difficult because they try me again and again. In fact, I work with a lot of families that come from AWS backgrounds, and their culture is so different. And I think, and I know that I think like a very middle class kind of a person. I have a different approach to life. I have different value of education. I have different agenda of what I want to get out of school. And that drives me in saying, what do I want my learners? In fact, if I see a learner who's not even opened up their holiday homework up till today, I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? If I have a parent who tells me, well, I have not been able to purchase the books, I'm like, how are you sleeping at night? That's what I am thinking, right? But now when I start dialoguing with the family who's saying, I have not been able to purchase, I'm like saying that I am like surprised. I will also sometimes tell the family, I am losing sleep over you not buying the books. I am losing sleep over what kind of putting my person in that situation with that family and saying, what kind of a teacher is this? Why is she losing her sleep? I'm like, no, I want you to have the books. How can I help you? Tell me. And then there is usually, a follow-up call and a follow-up call. But believe me, that follow-up call only is the initial icebreaker. Once my learner and my family realize that she's not going away anywhere, I do not have to make those follow-up calls. Then they start texting me. Because what I've also discovered with a lot of families is, as my learners, my families have also trained over the years that it's okay not to do the work. It's okay to not submit. And with all the permutation combinations that we've been trying now, those scaled marking systems, average of this and average of that, a lot of my families are realizing exam dena bhi important nahi hai. It's okay not to submit that test. And that's when, as a teacher, when I jump in and say, no, I want to know what's happening. Again, I know that that's not all happening in that slot of my class time. That's happening after my class time. But I can assure people, because I've been doing this day in and day out, all my families that have not been responding, all my learners who have not been responding, once they realize I'm not going away anywhere, and I will talk to them with purpose. Tell me when, with deadlines. When am I getting this Hindi assignment? What do you want from me? Tell me that exactly in words. Moment I start having that purposefulness in my conversation, I start getting responses. I hope I answered that.
Very well. Shankar, and after Shankar, Vishakha. Shankar, your question, you'll have to unmute. Shankar, you'll have to unmute. Vishakha, over to you.
Very good evening, Gaurav sir and Geetika ma'am.
Good evening.
So, ma'am, actually, my question is this: before pandemic, when we interacted with students, that was completely based on our traditional classes. But after pandemic, everything came on a virtual platform, and there were many new students. They got admission, like in 11th standard, and we never got a chance to meet face to face with them. So in that condition, it was really very difficult to make a mutual understanding with those students, like we haven't met him and completely meeting on the online platform. So it was completely, I think it is a challenging factor for us to cope up with. So how can we bring and make this happen?
So one, Vishakha ji, I strongly think that the newcomers in 11th grade who were like completely new to the school also sometimes, they were not our students from previous batches, or as teachers, I am meeting this batch for the first time. I do not know them personally. We all have had time to build rapport. Also, a number of times now, 11th graders are big guys and girls. I do not even consider them like learners. I call them co-learners because they end up teaching me more than I teach them. With online learning, some of things that have been welcoming with older age group is they are bringing in the lessons. I am not delivering all the lessons. And that is one way of me giving them the platform to express themselves. Also, again, before I open that up, I will also need to evaluate their skill set. All of them are not talkers. Some of them would need some training or facilitation in order to deliver that. Also, I think good icebreakers with them is allowing teenagers to talk freely. free talk time. They love talking. They love listening to their own voices. They also love listening to those crazy jokes that they crack. I do not find them funny, but I laugh with them because that's what the mutuality of the situation is. Also, I think that free time with my learners where I am letting them talk freely or voice their concerns around it. In fact, right now, talking their experiences of pandemic is not a free topic. It's a useful, purposeful topic to open up their dialogue with. In fact, if I have to open up dialogue, I do not know what subjects you teach, but sharing some political developments around the world, human rights movements that are happening around the world. Well, they are highly opinionated group, and they would want to win the point at the end. You cannot prove them wrong. And that to me is a beautiful way to form that kind of a mutual understanding that I hear you. It's very important for that age group. In fact, I would say anywhere from 8th grade up, if my learners are not getting a voice, they will become disconnected because they are becoming more and more curious. They have strong opinions. In fact, they are very black and white thinkers. They don't think in gray at all. There is not half right. Either it is right or it is wrong. And for me to know it is very important because I don't want to be on their wrong side. Right? So I need to be wary of what I speak to them. When I say this to all teachers, believe me, I'm not saying this will become an everyday affair in your classroom. These are those ice-breaking bonding time with my learners where they know that I see them. They are real people to me. They are not just roll numbers sitting in my classroom. They are not just assignments to me. They are not just about tests to me. I see them. This also, I think, for 8th grade and up, I strongly recommend teachers to have small group interactions. Also meeting with families away from our PTMs, and this was my recommendation before 2020 as well. I am repeating the same recommendation even now, that we need to have virtual meets with families, open-ended conversations, just letting to know what they're expecting, what they're thinking, what are their challenges. In fact, believe me, parents are more burdened about their students not studying than we as teachers are. In fact, as teachers, a lot of times we say it's okay, kar lenge. But for parents, it's more anxiety provoking. What is my learner doing? So moment I open dialogue with my parents from an understanding, curious point of view. I want to know. I don't have anything to tell. Because for a lot of my parents, they do not come to dialogues with me as teacher because then again, there is a long history. As a psychologist, believe me, I love reading histories of people. But a lot of parents also have histories of attending teacher meetings without speaking anything. They just think we have to listen to the teacher and go away. And here is a teacher who is saying, talk to me, tell me what is going on. What is going on at home? What is happening with the learner? What are you thinking? What is troubling you as a parent? Have you discovered anything that was surprising? A good surprise about the learner during this lockdown? When we open this dialogue, and as a psychologist, believe me, I can assure you, when people feel heard in my presence, they would never turn their backs towards me. It becomes a relationship because I heard them. And after someone feels heard, if I am talking, it's very likely they will listen to me very intentfully. But if my audience feels she's just going on and on, she's not interested in us. Again, I'm saying no matter what the age group is, they would not be interested in listening to me. So, sorry, a long answer to your question. I hope I answered that.
I think you answered very well. And I'll take up Nalini's question, Miss Nalini, your question, and then as a parent, I have few observations which I would like to share, and I will possibly, because there are a lot of teachers as well, Vishaka is one of them, I know, and then there are obviously principals or leaders here basically, but I will not be wearing the capacity of IP and founder. I'll be actually a parent because I have 2 young daughters in my family, and I
Most
see them,
welcome.
both of them progressing very, very differently, and I have few question which I'll ask after Nalini ji's question. Nalini ji, your question? You'll have to unmute. So it's very simple. Once I'll just ask you to unmute, then you'll have to unmute. If it is working at your end. Nalini ji, आप unmute करके उसको mute कर देती हैं वापस. Just hold on. Yeah, आप करिएगा. No. Swarna Geeta ji.
Yeah, namaste to all.
Namaste.
I'm principal of Jain Vidyalaya School here in Madurai, Tamil Nadu. And I would just like to share, first of all, I was listening to a few of their questions. Like, you trust the children first. Give them the concept. Last year we tried it. It was trial and error method. But then I started with the lower class. It worked very well. So much of family learning had taken place. Their script was so good. The way they presented, 40 minutes, we have our duration, one period is 40 minutes. 40 minutes continuously the child is teaching. Storytelling method, questioning method, sharing the screen, preparing. The child had prepared PPT, so much. And they were telling, unmute yourself. No, you mute yourself. All those terms, in the beginning, even our teachers were not confident with those terms. But then now children, like they were so fluent. They were so much of self-confidence I could see in them. So this worked out very well. We had given concept to each and every child. Now we will ask them in which subject you would like to take the class. They started preparing. Their brothers, sisters, father, mother, everyone had help. And it was so good. And soon after the class got over, the next period I'll ask the other students, since 40 minutes they were taking class, the very next period itself, I will ask feedback from each and every student. And all will tell, ma'am, this was so good. It was like a field trip. Why not you give some more topic to her? We would like to see that place, this place. Then after the class, I'll call the parent and tell them all the positives, so many things. The parent will feel so much happiness we can see in them. And then we'll record it and we'll send it to the parent also. And they'll tell, ma'am, it is so nice to see my child has done so much. So fluently the child is talking. No, so it worked out very well. So just trust the children, give them the concept, ask them which topic, which they will be interested, ask their likes, ask their dislikes, and then see that the class is very interesting. It is in the hands of a teacher. See, one thing we should not have in my salary, my pay, keep it aside. That is different. Have passion. See, so many parents, they have given their children to us. It is our duty to mold them, to bring them up very well. All the social skills, 21st century skills, everything. You just see what are they. You train them. You think of various methods, how to reach the children. You listen to them first. So many things are there. For all that, a teacher should be creative, innovative.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well
for
said.
sharing.
And absolutely, you are a passionate educator yourself by the looks of it. And what you said is from your heart. So I'm very, very glad that you said it on behalf of Geetika ji, if I may say.
No, it was beautiful.
Yes.
Very impressive.
No, very. And actually, as I said, because that's a temptation all of us. And I would really, in a lighter note, I would beg to differ, Geetika ji, that every time you don't have to have an agenda for a meeting. You should somehow chill. I mean, sometimes you have to have a blah, blah talk as well. You should have something like sometimes it's a BS stuff as well. It happens. I mean, because we are human beings, we want to talk sometimes rubbish at the end of the day. And I have done that trash talking as well myself. So having said this, I don't want to...
I'm just wary of it little bit,
Yes,
I just want to stay aware that it's not happening. Only that's not happening. And then, yeah, I would welcome all free talk.
No, I completely agree with you because I was not those academically inclined students. Once you're a backbencher, you are more prone to those sort of conversations. So I was just trying to be what I was in my school. But having said this, it is Nalini ji's. I'll still try once more if you can join us. And then Mahesh ji, I'll take up your question. I'm the host. My question will come at the last. Yeah. Nalini ji, you can try again once more. No. Mahesh ji. Dr. Mahesh Gupta.
Yeah, good evening, sir, and good evening, Kritika ma'am. It's very nice to attend your webinar this time, and very impressive webinar indeed. And my question is that sometimes a few of the learners are not ready to listen to the teacher. They are totally passive in their learning, especially during this pandemic condition. Even they don't respond when asked any question. So how can we cope up this kind of situation? Thank you.
Yes, Maheshji, one, I would say that I would want to know where those learners are, how much they know, and what is their skill set. So one information that I can have is the previous year's teachers or the previous year's, kind of conversations that the school may have, that I kind of dig into it little bit. I also would try to assess skill set by talking to the parent a little bit, because a lot of times I want to not kind of make the learner feel attacked or cornered and say she's coming after me too strongly. Again, speaking publicly right now, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this is overrated. A lot of us are not public speakers. In fact, a lot of us could be very private thinkers. And it's not because to say that we are not understanding anything. So a learner who's not really talking, I would say, don't think that they're not learning. They could be learning silently. And that's also sometimes I would need to have my alternate ways of assessing that learner's learning. If it's not coming out in the large group situation, I may want to have, kind of a small group or individual assessments, but have alternatives possible. Also, sometimes when students don't speak, again, sorry, the psychologist I am wanting to differentiate between, kind of just a private person versus a socially anxious person versus a child with limited verbal repertoire. Now, these are kind of diagnoses that I'm making, and I know as teachers, we make it all the time. But with that discrimination, I want to maybe dialogue with that learner privately, separately. Again, initially that dialogue may take some more of extra time, but once you have the grip of the situation, once you know where that learner is coming from, then you can tailor make your approach to that learner. And that is, kind of the initial process is always more time consuming than what follows after that.
Perfect. Vinod Kumar, your question? Yeah, Vinod.
Yes, good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. I don't have any question in particular, sir. I really thank Madam for all the viewpoints that she has given, and I do give regards to all the participants who have given their valuable suggestions. And like, I agree with ma'am, but every time I think myself also, I think like we need not to be very, like we need not go with the agenda all the time, because since we are during the pandemic sessions we are in, and all the classes are being done on online mode. Therefore, the children are also fed up. And then every time if you go on with the agenda, every time we go with the topic with the student, every time we are having the purposeful talks, then I don't think the class is going to be meaningful. We are not going to be a teacher any longer. I think we will become more of robotic things. So like, I think whenever we are having this class, of course, I do agree that syllabus is also one thing we need to cover up. But it is very important that we need to talk with the students. I think we should start with warm-up sessions sometimes, not every time, but sometimes we should have time to ask about them, about their family, and what are their likes, what they have been doing. And then like that, if we are building up the connectivity with the students, then I think our classes also will be useful, constructive, and they will listen to us also. And yes, I do agree that purposeful talks, meaningful talks are also very important. But every time if we just keep that thing in our mind, in our head, like we have to talk. Now also I'm speaking with you. If I just think like, what question am I going to ask to sir? All the people here are learned people. What question am I going to ask? So if I continually think in my brain, what is the purpose? What purpose? What type of conversation I'm going to have with sir and madam? Then I don't think I'm going to speak with you. So every time need not be purposeful. And out of rubbish also sometimes great ideas are being born. And in that way only, like say, all the children also, they open up when we like warm up, when we talk things which are out of the topic, and then we can put the ideas in between those things. So I think that will be fruitful, sir. And one of the teacher has said that like we are having problem, this, that, salary, job things. Like if you are not able to satisfy the student, then in any way, if you try to save the job by being a teacher, not like that, then in any case, like we are going to lose our job, because like if the students are not being satisfied, then we are out of that job. So whether we get salary or we don't get the salary or half salary, whatever it is, the first thing is our student, and I think we should satisfy the student. That is our duty also. And in the meantime, like administrator, the school proprietor, and the teacher, they should come in between. It should be give and take policy. Yes, I do agree, like we should forget about salary, that, and then we should do. But I do believe like it has to be give and take. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, ma'am.
So we know this from Assam, and I'm sure related to Sunil
Yes, sir.
Chetri by any chance, the footballer. Huh? No, I have no idea.
Thank you.
But having said this, Vinod, I will not say come to rescue of Gitika by any chance. And I personally
Sir.
believe that everything at its own place, which is
Sir.
that there's a little decorum to be maintained. And obviously what Ms. Gitika meant was that when you look up to a teacher or when you see a
Sir.
principal, there's always like a godly figure you are looking up to for that matter. And if every
Sir.
time that teacher is really in that fun mood, somehow the gravity of that teacher is not taken into consideration. So as I said, I'm with you. You're from my tribe, if I may say, more or less the backbenchers tribe, right? So, but then we have our own space. We can't really disturb the decorum of the overall class, if I may say, right? So,
Sir.
good. Archana ji, your question?
I think you can see me.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Gaurav sir and Ms. Gitika. It was wonderful, listening to all the learned speakers here today. And the topic is mental well-being of the students in conversation. So, see, when I have joined Birla Open Minds, just 8 or 10 days, I went to school. And since then, I'm working from home. Because it was lockdown, the situation is like that. But I am able to establish a good rapport with all my students, which is a kind of achievement for me. The students, I feel that I'm truly connected with them. But sometimes what I face, ma'am, the similar challenges which other speakers said already, the challenges are, some students, they don't speak at all. Even though if you call their name, they don't respond. So I had one student like that in my class, and like it was long that she was not responding. Then we came to know that the parent was thinking that the child is listening, but the child was not present in the class. The child was sitting in front of the system, that's it. So how to tackle such situation which is happening due to the remote learning and teaching, ma'am? We think, see, we have 35 or 40 minutes class, and we are not able to concentrate on each and every one sometime, right? Even though we try to do that, but then somehow I feel कभी ऐसा होता है, कोई एक बच्चा है जो कि शायद वो छूट जा रहा है ना? I hope you are able to understand my point.
Yes.
So a teacher has to be very, very alert, ma'am, I believe, and she has all the students like her child, right? He or his or her child. So how to tackle such situation, because the parent may be thinking that the child is in the class, but the child is just sitting and pretending to be, maybe not there in the class. So how to tackle such situations, like
So
how to bring
yes.
those children back? Sometimes the situation comes. So what is
Uh,
your, yeah, ma'am.
so Archana ma'am, I really want to compare this situation to pre-2020 also.
Yeah.
I have had learners sitting in classes completely disconnected, not learning anything, not listening anything. Uh, they actually, I have had learners in fourth, fifth grades who are completely mute in the class. They're non-existent, and they've learned that very strongly. In fact, when one would bring them on one-on-one conversation, it takes quite some time for them to realize that I have to talk. I mean, that's kind of the strong history that they have behind them. So one, ma'am, definitely with this online medium, we need to have more conversation with parents also. Because yes, for a parent, and believe me, more than a lot of parents would think that teacher knows how to teach and she will be able to engage my learner, and I as a parent have no influence over my child's learning with the school. And I am astonished by how many parents think that this is what's happening in this environment, where how we used to be walking around the benches
In
and
classroom,
having our
yes,
students get
keeping an eye
focused
on them.
sometimes. I think I have had parents, and I kind of refrain from suggesting it to a parent or a teacher. I always want to elicit what ideas they have in mind. So one is that yes, your child is sitting in front, but I am not able to assess what the child is learning. And when I meet my the child one on one, I'm not able to strike a conversation. The student is not responding. Do you know how to help that? Or are you seeing that at home as well? That they're not communicated, they're not talking. And a lot of time parents have beautiful ideas how to break that ice. Also, sometimes parents' dialogue with the student helps more than my dialogue with the child. So when parent and the student talk to each other without me at home and they have some understanding, however they're doing, I start getting more responsive from the student. That conversation has not happened in front of me. That's happened at home. But that also is facilitative. So I as a teacher may not have all the answers. I may have to, get the parent on board and have the dialogue sometimes. Also, sometimes if I experience a student who is kind of stubbornly not answering, I am very curious about their skill set also. And I may want to do some game-like activities with that student where the accuracy of responding is not important. So, in this medium also, I've discovered my students have taught me so many games, but rock, paper, scissors
Yes.
is a beautiful game to play. And who's winning and who's not winning, it has no verbal responding. But when I play those with my learners, I somehow see some movement happening. Also, some drawing like responses work beautifully. Like if you were to, design a human being, what would that human being look like? If you were to design the COVID virus, what would that virus look like? And we're just drawing. Some mediums have whiteboards where I and the student can draw together on the whiteboard. So I am just kind of talking aloud some strategies that I would use with non-vocal or non-speaking, non-engaging learners. Sometimes it is more work, and I truly understand what you're saying.
And to add on one more small question, ma'am. Sometimes what happens, it is my observation, the child was very active and very, interactive in the class. But suddenly, I don't know, that particular child, suddenly becomes silent. Now, how to bring them back again? This is again a situation which we face sometimes as a teacher. I take
So
English. I take English for my grade of 7 and 6.
So one man, sudden going quiet, I would want to probe.
Yes.
Especially in this time, it's stressors of all sorts that are happening in all families, and students are just witnessing a lot of events that we would generally not want them to witness. We would shelter them from that, but it's out in the open. They are kind of, just experiencing all sorts of emotions. So one, I would definitely want to probe, if not to the learner, to the parent, also sometimes to the mates in the class. I mean, I've kind of experimented with, the breakout room sometimes, and suddenly a student who's not talking to me starts talking in the breakout room. Also, I try to inquire about what the interaction level is at home. So generally, if I am seeing drastic quietness from a little talking student, I would want to probe and know what's going on first before I jump into any intervention there.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for helping me out in this question. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so Himanshu, you have a question, one more, Ms. Himanshu, and then this will be the final question. We are completely out of time.
Yeah, hi, Ms. Kapoor. I heard all your answers and I agree for the answer which you have given for Ms. Thakur. The question which she put up just now, and I agree that this can be possible with one-on-one interaction, which we are also doing at our place. And one more thing I have already experienced here, that we have to be connected with the parents also. And we conducted this fun sessions with the parents also, along with the learners, like the puzzle sessions or the old advertisements, which or the films or all these things, which is very beneficial with the parents also, and learners also. They came to know that our teachers, they are well connected with our parents. Moreover, if we are talking about that some of the children, they are quiet in their class, and definitely we have to go back in the history that something is happening at home, or what is all going on with the children also. That is the thing which we got to know about the answers from the parents also. So this is what I feel, that very good answers we got from you, Ms. Kapoor. And I hope that this will be continued somewhere in schools also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gitika. Thank you very much. In fact, we are completely out of time, as I mentioned. But having said this,
Oh, we are leaving without your question.
I wanted to ask, but then, as I said earlier, it was 6 o'clock. But then let me make that as an observation. I think that should be a good closing note to begin with. See, every question was legitimate. Every question has its own merit, purely because it comes from your own context and all that. And I'm a firm believer of diversity of opinion, all that put aside. The only thing which I usually fail to understand, which is example, and I'm proposing this more of an observation and a question in itself, and I'll be happy to hear a very divergent view as well, which is, when I look back my school days, the one thing as a student I always yearned for was that attention in my classroom from the teacher, number one. I went to an ICSE board school, a very prestigious one, and you'll be, I mean, sorry to understand, we had 89 kids in my class. My roll number used to be 87. So understand that 87 in a class, I mean, who the hell my teacher would ever get to know me for that matter? Never, ever possible, right? Now, when I look at 20 years down the line, because I went to my 12th in 2001, this is the 20th year of my 12th, getting out of my school system. Now, when I look at my girls, now I have two young daughters. One is 6-year-old and the other one is 8. They go to the prestigious, again, ICSE board school in Lucknow. I won't name the school purely because, as I said, no offense to them. But having said this, now look at the class scenario, which I'm seeing on a daily basis in my house, because they use my laptop. They have to be on the dining table to study and whatever you call it. Now, my younger one is usually an introvert girl. And I see in that 45 student or a 35 student, whatever the composition today is, she is the one who is left out, which is that she is, eventually her name will never get called out or whatever you call it. And I completely understand that teacher has less time, not motivated and all that put together, right? So I work in this industry, so I know everything about this thing. My only request to a teacher, and which I always say this, and I actually say this to the teacher, because I remember when I was in my 7th standard, I still remember that teacher's name because the way she used to address me, Gaurava, and it was mother, like she was Teresa Fernandez, ma'am. And I remember that my name from her mouth used to be the most heavenly thing I would hear in my school to begin. Okay. And having said this, when I look back and when I look the treatment my girl is getting, which obviously shatters her confidence, number one. Number two, I'm a personally perfectly okay guy wherein academic is for me the last priority. For me, her confidence the topmost priority. Her self-belief in herself is the topmost priority, which should not get shattered in the way. Her personality is the bigger thing for me because I'm the product of that at the end of the day. Now, having said this, my question to all the teachers here and the principals here as well is it a very difficult task that a teacher takes out a 5-minute dialogue purely with one student, maybe after the class hours, whatever time, because if I put it in very simple mathematical terms, 45 and 35 student, whatever, it is like 180 minute or 175 minute it will come per student, if I may say, which is 3 hours. But I think a 5-minute one-on-one conversation, if that teacher has with my daughter, I'm sure her confidence will blow up. She will have a very different self-belief about herself. And more than that, whatever we are talking about, that personal communication, rapport building, or all together. And I'm not saying that people do not do this, but why is this not a norm? Why is this still an aberration? Why is this such a big thing to be done for that matter? Because I believe if we can really do this, the real answer to NEP or an NEP not getting implemented is this actually. A teacher needs to be an empathetic teacher to me, period. You can teach me academic and all that jazz of the world, but the real thing is if my teacher cares for me, I will learn from her. If I believe that teacher doesn't care for me, I will never ever learn from that teacher. That has been my understanding. I can be horribly wrong. I may be over-exaggerating, but this is my observation. I'll be happy to hear in the perspective because I'm concerned about my daughter. I'm not concerned about anyone else for that matter. And I'm very selfish here. Yes, so this is my view. And I'm happy to hear certain divergent views as well. I'll be more than happy. And I can be wrong as well that Gaurav ji, itna personal attention se acha nahi hota hai, ya fir itna teacher kaise time nikalega. But all that is to me utter rubbish. टीचर जब मन चाहेगा तो टीचर के लिए टाइम निकल आएगा. मोटिवेशन या पैशन होना बहुत अलग चीज होती है और एक्सक्यूजेस के पीछे छुपना बहुत आसान होता है for that matter. Over to you, Geetika ji. Sorry, I'm as I said, I'm a passionate individual myself, but when I speak, I have to get out the entire intensity of my talk, which was that I was avoiding, and I was actually going away from even asking that question to you. But having said this, over to you.
Well, so I would say for me, hearing my name out with a good eye contact just to me happened in my master's.
Imagine. Okay.
And again, I think I belong to school systems which had a lot of students. And even though I was a high scorer, I was, just too good to be noticed. And I just went by thinking talking is not important. And yes, the value of that eye contact, that I see you.
Absolutely.
And I have, frankly, more than myself as a learner, I see that in my students all the time. And because I work only with those learners who are not succeeding in school, whom nobody wants, and whom mostly schools are thinking they can't study. So when I get them, I have them with long histories of thinking I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I don't know how to read, I don't know how to do math. So now this for me is that I have discovered that emotional comfort and connect is my first session.
Absolutely.
Till my learner starts coming to me with a smiling face, till the parent tells me this learner was ready for the session without my telling.
Absolutely.
What are you doing?
Absolutely.
This learner wants to be here and not go to anywhere else. And I love my learners when they say, can you teach us more?
Yes.
Now that is where it's all about personal connect. I am harsh. Believe me, sometimes I'm very harsh with them because if I set the goal, they have to achieve it. They are not getting away by not achieving it, but then they are fine with that harshness. And that's when I know that I have a connect with them. So I would also want to leave it open because I think this was not my question or thought to
Absolutely.
answer.
Absolutely.
This was for every teacher, and I would want this to be embedded for every teacher who is transacting with more than 20 people at one time. I truly understand the equation is so lopsided, and I would really want to also know how do you do it?
Yes.
Because if we don't have emotional connect, we are not going to get very far. The mental health pandemic that everybody is calling it right now is all about emotional disconnect, is all about feeling lonely, is feeling that nobody is there for me, versus people who think I have this one for me. And in fact, Gauravji, I want to share this one observation I have from a lot of my learners. Teachers are far more approachable during the pandemic than they were earlier. Teachers are available on phone calls. Teachers are available on WhatsApp messages. And my learners are saying, well, I called up my ma'am at 10 o'clock. I'm like, why did your ma'am take your call? They're like, ma'am has said you can call us anytime. So I called up and I was like, didn't she get angry with you? Like, not really. She answered my question. So yeah, I know this pandemic has shifted the clock in a lot of good ways. How do we sustain it beyond this online curriculum if we are going back? And even right now, how do we connect with those who are disconnected still? Is, I think, an open-ended question.
I think that's where the jury is out. I would still say there's no answers to this. This is just an observation that I wanted to share, and purely as a parent. I was not even, as I said, I was keeping all my emotions aside. I was a selfish father who wanted to see his young daughter to be a very, very confident girl at the end of the day. And when I see that class is doing a little of a damage on her confidence, to me, it's a little difficult sight to be with. Because as I said, I sent her to the class to have more confidence rather than coming back a little depleted on the confidence. So that should not happen to any kid, if I may say, not just my girl, to any kid for that matter. Because at the end of the day, academic aside, it's about really having a sensible head over your shoulders. That's the way I have personally believed. There are a lot of people who want to talk, and I'm sorry I've taken the time, but Vivek ji, कुछ बोलना चाहते हैं? आपको unmute करना होगा. हाँ, विवेक जी बताएं.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. It's my privilege to be here, and I have some observation as the HOS, head of the school, and we are working with the government system, that is Kendriya Vidyalaya Sanction. Though we have started very early, the taking online classes in the first week of the April last year, and we have different experiments, and somehow I can say we are ahead of many, but we have to go miles to go. In this, I think I have observed one thing, that we need to transform some lesson planning for online classes. The traditional lesson planning is not going to work. That is somewhat teacher-centered, somewhat. We need to be learner-centered. We need to provide a scope for the learner to express themselves, because they are under tremendous pressure, anxiety, and stress, being in home, not physically active. So providing a platform to the learner where they can express, they can mentally be prepared to take online classes, as well as they become as a they are prepared as a learner. This is the important thing. And for this thing, we need to blend a lot of things. That is activity-based learning, project-based learning, that is assignment-based learning, where the learner is expressing himself or herself, and in a better and befitted manner, that the teacher is supporting over there. Definitely, whether it is we are talking about NEP, amid that is a pandemic COVID, and we're talking about a lot of things. But it is like putting the Mercedes wheel into the block cart, because the system is based on that 1986 or before 1968 education policy. We are talking about the latest that is a learner centered and activity based, constructivism based pedagogy and knowledge building. Definitely we need to change a lot. We need a lot of teachers training mindsets over there, and we need to transform the teachers education also, and we need to take a lot of sessions for the teachers and learners also. Otherwise maybe this is up to the discussion in the webinars, but to get it reached in the classroom, we need to transform a lot of things. We have done something, we have given.
ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन
I have said a lot of things.
आपने बोला बिल्कुल सही बोला है. इनफैक्ट मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन चालू हो गया है. आप इतना अमेजिंग वे में सोच रहे हैं. देखिए यही तो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है और क्या है.
And I do agree with Mr. Chhetri also. Mr. Chhetri told one thing, that learning in online learning, I observed a lot of classes, the teachers who are allowing the students to speak the things informal way, in the informal way, apart from that that's curriculum transactions. I found the class very fantastic, and the feedback and faces of the students, they are matlab shining and bright, like full of the energy and vigor. Matlab kya lag raha hai bacche kuch bhi kar denge. I have seen this thing. And the teachers who are taking the presentations, the participants dikha rahe hain, present screen kar rahe hain, they are taking lot of surveys. That's not so effective to me. It's my view.
आई थिंक बहुत अच्छा टर्म यूज किया था गीतिका जी ने स्टार्टिंग में, वो था को लर्नर वाला. आई थिंक मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये 11th and 12th के लिए एप्लीकेबल होना चाहिए. ये एक्चुअली आप सारे क्लासरूम से आपको अडॉप्ट करना चाहिए. आपको बच्चे के साथ बैठ के एज इफ यू आर लर्निंग विद हिम और हर होना चाहिए, रादर देन यू ट्राइंग टू टीच दैट पर्सन. वो दिन लग गए अब जिसको बोलते हैं, जो मेरा मानना है. बट हैविंग सेड दिस, कुछ लोगों को गाइडेंस की जरूरत पड़ती है. तो कोई भी एक मॉडल नहीं है विवेक जी, कोई भी एक ऐसा मॉडल नहीं है कि मैं बोलूं यही चलने वाला है. जो आपके लिए वर्क करे, I personally feel that's a good model at the end of the day, right? So thank you very much. I think Swarna ji had to say something, Visakha, but just take less time and say, and then we will.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. See, I feel for your daughter, sir. She will be definitely, she'll be good in something. Each child is unique. If she's good in drawing, she can show all her drawings to the teacher in the online class itself. If she's good in dance, no, she can show all the pics. So that teacher has to appreciate. So let her demand it. Let her.
बिल्कुल नहीं, मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ. आप देखिए क्या होता है, पिता जो होता है वो भावुक हो जाता है. तो मैं शायद भावुक हो गया हूँ फॉर दैट मैटर. बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे मैंने बोला कि मैं ये बिल्कुल नहीं बोलूंगा कि बिल्कुल ठीक है. शायद मेरी बच्ची इंट्रोवर्ट भी है. मैं ये बोलूंगा दैट द एल्डर वन इज मोर आउटगोइंग. वो अपनी प्रेजेंस फील करा देती है. यहाँ क्या होता है, वो 40 क्लास में पता क्या करती है, अच्छा माँ मेरी फ्रेंड को है, उसको बोलने दीजिए. वो बड़ी मैग्नानिमस बन जाती है. वो बोलती है उसको बोलने दीजिए, और जब तक टाइम निकल जाता है वो बोल नहीं पाती है फॉर दैट मैटर. तो हैविंग सेड इट्स अ कॉम्बिनेशन. मैं वही बोल रहा था, मेरा सिर्फ ये कहने का था, मैं किसी पे भी आई एम नॉट कास्टिंग एस्पिरेशन एनीवन. मैं ये नहीं बोलना चाहता यही होना चाहिए, क्योंकि देखिए वन थिंग व्हिच आई हैव लर्नड फ्रॉम माय बिल्डिंग IPN इज देयर इज नथिंग कॉल्ड एन एब्सोल्यूट आंसर. Absolute subjectivity to everything what we do. Sometimes which what may work for me can horribly not work for you. Possible, बहुत possible है. So I was just sharing and I got an answer. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम लोग उस पे काम नहीं करते. हम लोग रोज काम करते हैं. As a parent, I with my wife try to work. In fact, sessions like these, मैं ये सारे सेशन अपने लिए कराता हूँ. आप लोग तो मेरे गेस्ट के तौर पे आ जाते हो. मैं I get to learn a lot from them. But having said this, I will quickly take one more. I think चित्रलेखा जी कुछ बोल रही हैं. And I think हमको गीतिका जी को भी छोड़ना है. उनको हमने 6 बजे के टाइम बोला था बेचारी को, and we are already 17 minutes. चित्रलेखा जी, sorry, आप बोलना चाह रही थी कुछ.
Good evening, sir. Nice to hear you all. Wonderful session going on. Sir, I am taking economics for class 11th and 12th standard. With the help of this online classes, sometimes I use the Zoom, sometimes I make audios, videos, PDFs and all that. But what I have observed is, like, if there are 63 students in a class, all 63 of them are not coming for the classes. Although we make it very interesting, very practical, like when I am teaching eco to them, I correlate it with the present scenario, all policies and all updates what government is doing in the present scenario, correlating it to poverty, unemployment, health issues, human capital formation, that how all this is being affected, how education is being affected. But still I find some children are not getting connected, and rather it not during this pandemic, but they go for the tuition classes more. they feel that no, we have to just cover our syllabus. That's all. CBSE is going to mark us. But now the scenario has changed. We studied in a different way. Now we are studying in a different way. And I am a student of KV. Vivek Yadav sir is principal. I've studied from the same school. So we were never being done with the spoon feeding by the teachers. They made us so confident and independent in studying that we explored more, and teachers used to guide. But in private schools and public schools, the scenario is different. The teacher has to feed everything to the student. We have to give the notes, everything. So that is how somewhere I feel the student have to be made more confident. So what is your take on this?
So one, ma'am, I strongly would come back to my original recommendation. If I postpone my speaking for some time and I call my learners for sort of fun, there's no agenda, and you know, news travels very fast, and kids talk to each other like in one, that you know, there's a weird teacher on the block and she lets us talk and she lets us make presentations and she's interested in what we want to say. I also try to attract them what they would want to talk about, and believe me, gender sensitivity, gender equality rocks with all age groups, and 11th and 12th love it. So I am kind of you know, minting on that choice of subjects. But you know, for a teacher, and I would feel for all, when the syllabus is you know, kind of in sight, I have to cover all these topics, I have to deliver all of this, I have this much burden, you know, accountability from my management, blah blah blah. So one, I know, and as a teacher to a teacher, I would say go with the recommendation. Initially open them up for dialogue where they are talking. They need to first relate to me as Geetika and not as whatever I am trying to teach, because the subject of psychology is of no interest to them. I mean, it was of no interest to me for a long time till I discovered the power of psychology. But again, for them, psychology is no meaning. It's me, Geetika, who would ultimately form that bond and say, I want to learn from Geetika, let's go to her class, let's attend her class. And that's when the numbers start swelling. But if I am talking psychology from day one, and I'm you know, wanting to learn them all the Piaget and the Freud's theory and why psychology is important, they are like, I don't want to be a psychologist. And that's where, you know, sometimes people who, I mean, in the career that I am now, a lot of our learners are becoming psychologists. I mean, those are the people who fell in love with me as a person. And they said, we want to be a psychologist because she is a fabulous psychologist. So that's where I think if they fall in love with the economist and the physicist in us, they start falling in. But having that love affair is time consuming, huh?
Man, but I do all these things. I give them opportunity to talk. I ask them to deliver the
love
lecture.
Affair to शुरू नहीं हो रहा ना. Love affair शुरू
Actually,
करवाना है.
ma'am,
उसमें
all
तो
children are
अलग हो
not
जाएगा.
having the main reason is some children are not having the phone also at that time when we are conducting the classes, because that is also a technological problem. So, but nice to talk to you and to be a part of this forum.
Wonderful,
Thank you so much.
Chitralika ji. And I think what Geetika ji was trying to say to you is that ये ups and downs चलता रहेगा. कभी phone नहीं चलेगा, कभी light नहीं आएगी, वगैरह वगैरह. But आपके fundamental principles change नहीं होंगे, which is.
Sir, but we are learning a lot. We
Absolutely.
teachers are learning a lot.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
Dhanyawad.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Geetika. Thank you. Completely out of time. And what a lovely session. I think.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you.
Really, I mean it with complete intent that I have attended a lot and I attend a lot of sessions. But whatever you said is very practical, and I'm sure all the teachers here or leaders who are part of this conversation would really go back and at least implement a part of it. And this is a journey which we are traveling with you guys at Fortis and your team. In fact, we would love to host you very, very soon. In the meanwhile, everyone who had joined us from various parts of the country, thank you very much for joining in. Have a great weekend ahead, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.